snacks.
What it do, snackers and snackettes? It is time for another episode of Spoiler Boys.
Spoiler Boys!
In fact, it's time for the final episode of Spoiler Boys for Falcon and Winter Soldier. Let's just get this out of the way right now. I know we're live. We don't normally do this live. We record it, post it. People have a chance to avoid it.
Right.
If you're here, it's either because you don't care about spoilers or
you've already seen.
You've already watched.
Yeah.
If that's not the case, you have chosen poorly. I'm not even going to get out. You just chosen poorly. You are named Carly, and you have chosen poorly. What up to everybody who's in the chat? What's up, Marcus? K Dizzle.
They ready.
What's up, Sam? Cuddy. Listen, Tardy Tie, not Tardy.
No, not today.
Time.
On time tie.
I bet
during the timer.
I bet all day he made sure people know, hey, I got somewhere to be.
I got somewhere to be.
Yes.
7 o'clock.
Yes.
7 o'clock. Not even 7 o'clock.
What's up,
6:55. Timer.
So we listen, we know we have to do this live sometimes. And I think it'll probably just happen this way with the final episode of each one we do. I think that just might have to be a thing.
Yeah.
We need to jump in. Let's jump in. Hey, Mama Dean.
Mama Dean's
in the building.
Marcus Houston. You keep throwing those Ric Flair references at me. I can't resist. Woo! I have to. So
it's worth it.
All the time. Look, let's get right into this. We're not gonna dig too deep into the last episode of Spoiler Boys, but we will say that we were some right, we were some wrong, and this joint, the jump off from the jump off, straight into it. No flashback.
Ain't waste no time.
Nope, we getting right into it.
Yeah.
Not at all. Well, thank you for what everybody
I know we had to throw it away.
Gotta wave. That's how that works. Yo, listen. I have some issues. I'm gonna make that very clear. I have some issues with this episode. We will get to those. I definitely have issues. But I just want to get an overall consensus about how you feel about the episode. Don't jokes. You know what? I'm not even gonna ask you first. I'm gonna go ahead because you can't help yourself.
No, I've been better. No, the last has been better. But that's what we're here for either way.
Yeah, ever since I sat you down and you've been better.
Shut your mouth.
Sin. Overall impression of the final episode of this show.
I enjoyed the episode.
Okay, that's it. That's as good as I enjoyed it.
The episode.
All right. Let's see how Jokes does. Hey, Jokes.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Why you crossing your arms?
I know, right?
Because I'm ready.
I'm scared of you.
Because I'm ready.
All right. Okay. I'm glad you're ready. Where are you? How do you feel about this final episode? Solid episode. Okay. As I can tell, you're afraid to say more because you don't want to mess up. I'm gonna tell you that I love a lot about this episode. However, it feels like there's something missing. Like there are things missing from the episode. I mean, if this had been the ending of an actual movie, I feel like I would have liked it more. It just because it's disjointed by the fact that it's episode to episode to episode. I feel like once the action was over, it dragged a little longer than it probably should have because it was a single episode. outside of that, while I do have other issues we will get to, it does make me feel like, in terms of a 6-episode series, it put a pretty solid bow on the series. I still think there should have been 1 to 2 more episodes, but we'll get to that. So, Jump Street. I'm seeing, listen, like, y'all are going off.
Yeah.
I mean, people are upset about IGN. I heard IGN was harsh. I tried not to look at what anybody else had to say about it. So I heard IGN was harsh. I've seen that. I didn't look at it, so I can't yay or nay what their reasoning behind it is. I can't say one way or the other. But look, Cuddy says, if I'm screaming at the screen, it's not average, but not as far as the early episodes. Which, again, to some extent, I think something like that drags it down. I do think that drags it down some. But that's, K Dizzle said it felt good, but felt cheesed. And I think there's a reason for that. We're gonna discuss that a little bit. I've been better is as good as you're gonna get with little jokes, and that's probably all right. Yeah, you're probably right, Heather. I think a plot was cut, and I think you can see it. For sure. Ray Robert Dean said, reinforced to me how much the Cap franchise is the best franchise in the MCU. Yeah, we're gonna sidebar that for a moment. What's up, Alfonso? So the joint started. I feel like they could have, but they didn't. And that's all right. That's all right, because, at 3 a.m. when you're actually tired and you probably should be asleep, starting with the action works really well for me.
Very well. Very well.
Works real well for me. Hey, listen, this right here, I would be talking, but I'm covered in Turkish Delight powder. We're gonna have us some Turkish Delights. Frosty said this episode made her cry repeatedly.
Wow. I get it.
I take it some of the moments.
I
Probably.
do too. I certainly do.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what? Before we even go any further, I'm opening my Turkish Delights. I just need to.
Hey,
I want to address what Marcus just said. I ain't getting no 50 Cent Curtis Jackson.
Nope.
No 50 Cent.
I'm hurt.
That's a miss.
I'm so hurt.
I was actually right. So I was kind of happy. Like, okay, what about
you got something out of it, right?
True.
Come on, bro. So we start off like pure action. We're going in. I love seeing Sam in his new outfit.
Clean.
His Wakandan made.
Yes. Yeah.
I actually am the captain. America. Sam Pratt. Hey,
I'm
listen.
captain now.
I didn't have tears in this particular episode. There have been some moments in past episodes, but I get it. I certainly could have. In this episode. Very poignant things being said in this episode. Again, we'll get to that.
Absolutely.
So
Good Lord,
having the Flag Smashers.
This is not a snack bite. I'm telling you right now, this is not a loading snack.
You mean not a loading snack? No, we knew that.
You didn't just say powder. You didn't.
Like you knew that off the break.
It's one thing when you read it and then you actually go to grab it yourself. You're like, oh, okay, this is.
Yeah, you see it all over it. Like I don't know what you're thinking.
My thoughts on the Flag Smashers and the direction they went with the Flag Smashers, I think, served its purpose. I think it did a decent job and it served its purpose. I think that the ending of the last episode and the way that this episode began is nigh perfect for what it is. And the need for us, probably my most important prediction from the last episode, was about how demolished Crafting America's shield was.
Hey, knew that was gonna happen.
Oh yeah. Hey, first time he chucked that joke, get that thing out of here.
I told you.
I was dying.
I I told you that joint was not gonna bounce. Like that joint got thrown and just got.
It didn't bounce, and I'm gonna tell you what I mean. Again, vibranium, it vibrates. This shit has gonna have some bounce to it. It makes sense, right? But here's the thing: having him throw it and having it get kicked to the side versus Sam showing up and throwing it and watching it do what we know the shield is supposed to do felt really good.
Yeah,
it felt really good. I don't know if I like Sharon's show up in here, but I like the callback to the tech.
Mm-hmm.
That was Widow. Used, yeah, for Black Widow to disguise her face. That also briefly made me think she might be a Skrull. It just for a moment, it did. Batroc, I don't care about him. It didn't feel like they
finished that at all. Yeah.
Yeah.
They left that on the table.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks like y'all had some real moments watching this. The Power Broker reveal, I agree with J. Robert Deans. It's a little too spot on. I still don't think that's the end of it, though. I think there's more.
I don't think so either.
I also don't think she's actually the Power Broker. But I like what they did in terms of Sam getting a moment to kind of show again some of his hand-to-hand skills, fight with Batroc. It's not a great fight. I'm gonna just keep it a buck. It's okay. It's not a great fight. And
the first one was better. It was more in his element, I think, in the first with the opening scene. Yeah, he was more in his element.
But I like that he immediately went from that to him being in the air again. Him throwing the shield, jumping out, catching it. I love that Red Wing is back and that there are more.
When he called, when he
called
for him, I was like, bet. And my man is made of vibranium. That's probably.
Yeah,
he ain't getting blown up.
Somebody tried to break one of them joints over their knee in this episode.
Nope. And Sam, hey, look, Sam, he's working that shield like with his own way, like dope. Like he is under his combination with the wings. He is killing it.
And I like that. I feel like again, they really began to show the differentiator between this version of Captain America and what people are used to seeing with Captain America. And I think that is done so well. It's executed so well. It's done so purposely to help differentiate between the Captain they tried to create. Like they tried to recreate the Captain as he already was.
Yeah.
And Sam, over the course of the show, coming to the realization that not only should he take the mantle, that it's important for him to be the mantle, but that he also has to do it in his own way, which is probably the thing that I feel like was the most, it's not the most important in the grand scheme of what his end of episode speech was. But saying I'm doing this all with no super soldier serum.
Yeah.
There is something extremely important about having somebody who represents you, represents your country, is fighting for your country, and is just like you. There is a huge difference between what Captain America in World War I was and represented when I am a one-man army and I will go and I will bring back all of our POWs.
Right.
I'll go get them myself. I can do this, right? He's essentially Master Chief from Halo, right? He call in Optimus Prime. It's
right.
The notion that this is a regular man, a military trained regular man. And I think that was supposed to be at least part of what the allure of John Walker was supposed to be or should have been, because he was an everyman. He was just a military man. There was no super soldier serum or what have you at the time. And of course, the American public doesn't know that he has a super soldier serum. That was really more for us. But making that statement in public was, I think, super important. Watching him as things get more and more out of hand, the acceptance of having John Walker there to help,
because
he is, like, you just kind of like, you can't really turn it down. You can't really say go away. We don't.
I know, really.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
no, you leave.
Even though I still want a little bit more salt from Bucky at him. Like,
yeah.
But
let me just make sure that everybody gets a chance to yell at Ty for this. I'm probably the only one, but I like John Walker. I felt sympathetic towards his character. While Russell was amazing. Now listen.
Yes, he is.
I would say yes, he is. We got to separate that a little bit.
Exactly.
Wyatt Russell made me hate him. People were sending death threats to Wyatt Russell, which you can't even really do because he don't have social media. It probably would have been way worse if he actually had social media. That absolutely speaks to how well the man is carrying the job of acting in that position. But again, I do think that Marvel is doing a great job of putting characters in front of you where it's questionable whether or not that person is a villain.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Whether or not their motivations are so bad, technically, right? It does always come to a point where they do make that turn and you realize
no, Marcus.
Zemo was right. Right?
Yeah.
Carly is radicalized. They generally all become radicalized in some way and begin to and as sweet and or innocent as Carly seemed at the beginning and in doing what she was doing, you absolutely see it when her own people begin to question her throughout. But then especially in this episode when she's like, I mean, if we gotta kill him, we gotta kill him. Yeah. You know what I mean?
One world.
They hesitated. Like, I don't know about all that.
Nah, she tried to get them to do the same. One world, and they did not respond back. And like she had to get she had to assert herself a little bit before.
She had to get, like imagine for a second if I was like spoiler boys and y'all ain't saying nothing. I was like spoiler boys, like go
spoiler boys.
like you've clearly lost it. And the thing about it is she has a lot of followers for whatever reason that are again could be radicalized. The majority of them are not. She is, but people are following her because she's supposed to be the leader, even though they don't really want to. And I think that's one of the things that is definitely left out of the show. There are this show, you can tell this show was intended to have a chemical warfare of some sort. And I really believe that because of the coronavirus, they decided to edit all of that out. Because the very first episode, they're stealing like antidote. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not like they're just doing it. Like, actually, in the show as it exists, they do it for no reason. Like, why are they doing this? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Then to find out, we're gonna kidnap them. I'm like, that's what all this.
That's what we doing. That's what we doing.
Yeah.
This is a kidnapping ploy. That's a little underwhelming after all this.
Yeah, that one right there. I said one world. Like the whole people was hot.
One world.
And it was there, but it's like y'all can beat her up. Like y'all don't have to listen to her.
Right, y'all are all on the same playing field. Y'all got your abilities.
Like, J. Robert Dean says, Walker presented the dilemma of taking young white men, training them to be killers, and then releasing them back into society without help. I think that's just training men, period. to be killers, to not, recognize the difference between when that's needed and when it's not. Heather says Steve, Bucky, Sam, and John all had PTSD, and only one of them murdered someone. I mean, yeah, I guess yes. When you say murder, yeah. Because Steve Rogers definitely killed a lot of people.
Oh, yes, he did.
That dude killed a lot of people. Like in the first Avenger, my man definitely walks in shield first with the pistol out,
and shooting,
bro. And like he ain't aiming for legs, bro.
No,
like
he's not aiming
straight on. Like we saw, we getting rid of this.
This is a war.
Yeah. So Sam says, I don't know if I really see anybody as a bad guy because Walker struggles and Zemo being a bad guy and Carly having, good heart with good intentions, but bad follow through. Is any villain in Falls a villain, but actually an anti-hero? I think the answer is yes and no.
Yes.
I think when you hear the statement that we've all heard time and time again about seeing yourself live long enough to become the villain, is what happened, right? Carly starts off as a hero.
Right.
She then begins to turn into an anti-hero, but by the end of the show, she's a straight up villain. Like when you're just like, I mean, if they don't give us what we want,
we're gonna kill the hostages.
You know what I'm saying?
Plain and simple.
When you make that turn,
we need a distraction.
Like, this is the only language they understand
on them. Like, set people on fire. Like, okay, you're doing too much now, girl.
Straight up, like, we need a distraction.
just set them on fire.
I'll have them save somebody. Like that was straight up what she said. Like,
I will be me watching TV and say they just conveniently had like cans of gasoline to pour on the car.
Nah, that joint was off the motorcycle.
Yeah.
Joint Bucky had crashed into with.
Yeah. Why was there gasoline just on that motorcycle? It just
the gas tank.
They ripped his gas tank off.
Yeah, he ripped the tank off and poured that on the.
Got it. What did he start the fire with?
Was the pole?
See, now you're asking too much about it. I've only seen it one. I only saw it one time.
No. I'm pretty sure he had picked up the pole and just like ran it across and created the sparks that ended up igniting it from there.
Oh, okay, I get it. Quick side question: the dude that played Lamar Hoskins should make a better blade than mine. No.
Wait, I saw that. And I was laughing.
No.
Oh, hold on.
No.
Wait a minute.
I'm glad that's a side thing. We're gonna move on because we can't get caught up in that.
I say I'm on time, but I'm still keep with these.
I'll address you on that specifically later. Clay said, so as a military vet, there have been years of stigma that if you need mental health, then you're weak. I mean, here's the thing. I think that is an issue for a lot of people. Period.
Yeah.
But definitely among Black men. And again, like even amongst men as a whole, though, like the idea of being macho and being a man and whatever, like the idea of needing help. I think one of the things about this series as a whole is you have one of the most elite killers on the planet who's in therapy, who needs help, who is afraid of doing the thing that he needs to do in order to close the gap, right? And make amends so he can move on. I think that there's a lot to be said for what that is. And I think this is important too. There is mental help available, and most don't speak up about it. I mean, again, that's a very real thing. We're just now beginning, I think, especially over the last year, to even attempt to normalize going to therapy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Getting the help when you need it, talking to somebody who is considered a professional or isn't somebody in your circle.
Right.
Who maybe is too close to the situation and things like that. Sometimes that can help with that kind of stuff. I want to point out that I think, again, having Sam be so Sam and still have such incredible control over how he used the shield to put his own style on being Captain America.
Facts.
Him saving the day multiple times in front of people and people just soaking it in, just being like, yep, like, nah, that dude, like, oh, it's Black Falcon.
Nah, that's Captain America.
It's Captain America, right? Which again is a super important designation, right? Because you got to keep in mind that the rest of the world saw exactly what happened with the Captain America that was chosen.
That the government chose.
Yeah. And that's thank you. That's the need to have people see that. Like, I feel like we maybe should have gotten more reaction somewhere in an episode or something somewhere of what the world thought of what they saw. Like, we never get to see that.
Yeah.
So I don't think it fell flat, but I think it certainly could have hit harder. But I think at least for us as an audience watching, because of what we did see, because of what we knew, it still worked.
Yeah, it worked for us. Yeah,
and them hitting at least a couple of times on people being like, "Oh, hey, it's Black Falcon. Why can't I just be Falcon?
Falcon, just
Falcon." You know what I mean? That's a thing that we'll probably see perpetuated in the future, since word on the street is they're planning Cap 4.
Oh yes.
And yes, to a certain extent, yes, Marcus, that he's Captain Falcon. I mean, no, because my man Joaquin got them wings, bro.
Yes, he does. I was really surprised. I thought maybe my man was at least going to be fixing them or in the shop or doing something with them, but maybe next time.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that you got to keep in mind that there is supposed to be there's supposed to be a team of other people who
do. I forgot the name of the program that they originally
had that were in the program that Falcon was in, where they were using the wing. So there are certainly other people who could do what he does. He's been at it for a while. I really enjoyed that part of it. Hold on. What are you talking about? For those that didn't see it, Gage had a beautiful speech about asking for help when you don't necessarily need it. Yeah. Thank you for bringing that up. Yeah, I think, shows like this are steps in beginning to help normalize that kind of a thing, which is one of my favorite things about what this show has done. This show has been eerily and sadly on point.
Reflective.
Yeah.
Very.
Yeah.
With what's going on in the world and what is happening on a like twice a daily basis, it seems like now. I think we get to see a little bit of this in the last episode when Sam talks to Bucky about what he actually needs to do in order to fix what he needs to and get some closure, saying straight to him, you weren't amending, you were avenging.
Yeah.
Right. You need to provide a service for people to help yourself clear your name in your own conscience. But once all the hullabaloo is over, and to a certain extent, it all just continues to stay relatively calm once the action is done. Because again, we have to tie up some loose ends and make some things. And that was one of our concerns when we did Spoiler Boys after the last episode. It was like, man, there is so much going on. There are so many loose ends left to tie up. How are they going to tighten that up? Sam says, I was hoping that they wouldn't just leave Sam being Falcon behind, though. I'm really happy about that. And I agree with that. There was a moment when I was concerned that for whatever reason, they might not actually let him have his wings.
It was just going to be a captain.
Yeah.
But I just felt that wasn't going to happen because with everything that's going on, like he doesn't have super speed. He doesn't have any of that type of stuff. So like Cap and Bucky, like at a moment's notice, can just hop out of a situation. If they got to be in someplace else, they can just dip out and go there. He wouldn't have that without the wings. So I really didn't see them doing that. I know there's a point where he kind of acts as Captain America without having the wings at a point in time.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I don't think I don't think at least in this situation right now that was going to work. Maybe down the road, like if season 2 movie, whatnot, ever, maybe he'll be without the wings. Maybe he left them and he's on a pseudo mission or something. You know what? He's got to be Cap without the wings, and that's where we start to see those type of things. But he is Falcon at heart, so that's going to be his thing.
I mean, I think the wings are his superpower, right? I mean, I think that helps to make a difference in what he is and isn't able to do when he's having to face people that do have powers, right? He doesn't have that. He is the amalgam of Captain America and Iron Man, the two biggest characters who are no longer a part of the MCU. He's in that kind of odd juxtaposition of being both of those characters. Yeah. But once he ends up in a position where he's on the street and he has to talk, we're going to say some sense, into the people of the GRC.
Yeah, the people that they saved.
Ooh, that speech.
Yeah, I mean, so much of what he's saying in that speech about, people who are marginalized, who you are attempting to marginalize, are often not in the room. And the people who are in the room are often not affected by it. Right. At least not in any negative way that matters, that really impacts, their lives. Saying that we're not just going to call them terrorists or thugs, like we're not, like that's not what they are. And I think that part of my favorite part about that monologue is that monologue wasn't just a monologue, that there was some pushback. Right?
When he said, what would you know about, all that type of stuff? He's like, I'm a black man dressed as captain. What do you think American. I don't know about this stuff?
I got the stripe. I got the red, white, and blue on here. Like,
knowing that if I put this on, there are going to be millions of people who hate me for it, just because I'm wearing it. Cutting to get Isaiah's reaction. Like at that moment, him kind of seeing that he's been holed up. He made himself a prisoner, right? After being in prison for so long and being so angry about being in prison for so long, he made himself a prisoner, just staying at home, staying to himself, staying his right.
Yeah, just staying there.
He's dead. Well, that's he's dead. It's like ironically using the term, but he was pretty much dead to the world. So it's like, you know what? I'm just going to hang her down in the house. It's not like anyone is expecting me to walk down the street other than, of course, was it son or grandson? How he considered to be
grandson.
Yeah. He would be the only one probably that actually knows that he's even there and his backstory for it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that I think that his position speaks, I think, for a lot of people who are older, who have gone through more prominent and legal versions of racism than what younger people, even like ourselves or younger than us, have. Obviously, there's still a lot of work to be done, but that trifecta of what is essentially a grandfather, a father, and a grandson, right? The three of them being black men that are in this capacity, and representing the differences in those generations, and how in some cases we might have to do things differently in a world that is still a bit different in that way. Marcus, we're not going to call him Batman.
No, we are not.
Because he's because you're in the wrong universe. I like this. Bucky needs to punch John like Hulk did Thor. I would have been okay with that.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I honestly think that was probably part of his internal struggle. Was probably Bucky trying to come to grips on certain things. I feel like he prevented himself from actually doing that, because had he gone down that road, it kind of still would have been like, you know what, I'm Winter Soldier. I'm just gonna knock you out because that's what I do. But I feel like that could have been a part of that internal struggle that he just did not. There was numerous times where obviously through the series he could have, other than the fight.
Oh yeah.
Sure.
But I think at this point, I think he was just reserving. You know what? They partnered up. He was like, you know what? As of right now, you are not the immediate threat. So until you step out of line or doing whatever, let's just go out here and get rid of this bigger.
And we know you believe you're Captain America, so okay, you're gonna go out here and try to get the job done and redeem yourself and all that kind of stuff. So okay, you can help out for right now.
Yeah, I mean, again, I still have some issues. J. Robert Dean's given the Air Force is Joaquin. That's what I was talking about. In the comic books, he does become Falcon. It's a disgusting way that it technically happens, and I guess they fix it or whatever. But yes, in the comic books, he does actually become Falcon. So that is a real thing. I don't think we're gonna see Patriot for quite some time.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're just sowing the seeds. We may not see it at all.
But it's there.
It's probably at least 3 years away, technically.
And a lot of people, obviously us, we know who Patriot is, but you know what? Nobody else honestly has probably put that 2 and 2 together, especially if you're not well into comics to actually know the actual characters. So obviously, you know, his grandfather is a super soldier. So like we've said before, you know what? Can those genes be passed down where you inherit the powers and the abilities? I feel like that's probably going to be one of those things where, like, you know, he thinks he's going to go like through, I guess, puberty or whatnot, whatever you want to call it.
Nah, he's too old for that. He's too old for that.
But eventually, I guess, you know, he's going to do things and it's going to possibly happen like that.
Here's what I'll say. It could happen sooner than we think. A Young Avengers thing is probably further off. Mm-hmm. I think we have to get through Ant-Man because we have to see Cassie again. But
plus we got
in the comics, he doesn't have powers. When he first takes on the mantle of Patriot, he doesn't have any powers. He begins to take like a fake serum. It's actually like a mutant serum that is giving him powers that nobody knows that he's using. And eventually it comes out, and then he gets hurt, and he ends up, I believe, getting a blood transfusion from his grandfather or something along those lines. That then actually does give him.
Okay.
So there's a possibility they could use it in some manner to talk mutants or something if they want to bring that in. There's so much happening now. And there are so many ways that they could still introduce something like that. He could be tied to that in some way. I want to talk about some of the loose ends.
Okay.
I'm going to start by saying I don't like the Sharon Carter twist. I mean, not that they weren't in some manner making it obvious, but I don't like the Sharon Carter twist. And I still feel like we may have been set up. Her character thread throughout the show is all over the place. And that's the thing I probably don't like about it the most. In the comic books, Sharon Carter definitely goes that route. Like, she goes that route completely. And eventually redeems herself and comes back over or whatever. She does all the double agent stuff, and it's totally possible that could be a way that it goes. I do think she could be. I mean, I think that she's involved from a power standpoint, or that she's pretending. But like, Zemo makes references to a power broker that exists before Agent Carter was on the run.
Right.
That he had dealings with the power broker prior to Civil War. Clearly, that was not her.
Right.
I'm almost positive. Now I got to go back and watch it. I'm almost positive that Zemo refers to the power broker as a male. And that doesn't necessarily mean he ever actually saw
the
power broker. He may have just assumed it, which is the kind of thing people would do, right? Like, so I get that. It totally is supposed to be 50 Cent. Like,
we have already stamped that. His name is Curtis Jackson in the comics. So,
but yeah, there are things that happen with her throughout the series. Like, if your main concern is that, like, at the end of this, her wanting Carly, like, come back and work for me. Like, we don't have to do this. I mean, okay, so you want your own little army of, I guess, whatever's left of the super soldiers that are there. But you actually took Zemo and the Winter Soldier, of all people, and Falcon to see the man who was responsible for making the serum, which she would have had to have been the person who greenlit it if she's the power broker, because my man said so. when they were there. Now, she didn't go inside. So is it totally possible she didn't go inside because she didn't want
him to see her?
Mm-hmm.
Possibility.
Maybe. But he also could have never seen the power broker, right? He could have just been like, nah, I got the money. Here's what it is. Whatever. There is a high possibility that she's working with Val.
Mm-hmm.
High possibility that she's working with Val. And Val is another tricky character because Val could be the power broker. But Val's character, it almost seems like they're making Val two characters too, possibly. Val's character in the comics eventually becomes like she, again, starts out as more of like a femme fatale / love interest for Nick Fury. Sharon Carter does join the femme fatales. But Val's character also does become Madam Hydra. Mm-hmm. And right now we're back in a place where we have a character that has infiltrated possibly the highest levels.
Here we go again.
Your old position might be open. Oh yeah, I would love that. You know what I mean? Like, why would that be a thing? It's like 4 in the comics. Yeah, there are a lot of characters that Val's character technically seems to be representing.
Surprised of, right.
But she does have, like, her naming U.S. agent.
Mm-hmm.
That's a thing.
Uh-huh.
Him saying I'm back. That's straight from a cover of a comic book. Like, that's a thing. And it definitely feels like she's setting up the Thunderbolts. But I also feel like Ross could be the power broker. That while it appears that Sharon is having a conversation with who could be Val, she absolutely could be having a conversation with somebody who we've not seen in these episodes, who is, if I had to guess, probably Thunderbolt Ross.
I agree with that.
Although she did talk in that after credit scene, like, we about to have access to this and this and this. And it's like, well, he would already have access to that.
Right.
So why would it be him? And it would seem that Val also has the same thing.
Yeah.
So now it feels like whomever it is that she was talking to is not either one of them. Because I feel like they wouldn't need her to do that. And that makes me feel like she's a Skrull. And we're looking at Secret Invasion. And she's talking to somebody who has nothing to do with what we think they're talking about, because this is about invading the Earth, taking over prominent positions.
Okay.
This is where it begins.
We're thinking about Hydra sneaking in. We're thinking about, nah, dog. I think there's something else happening there. And there is a point, like, there's a very high level Queen Skrull who, Tony, that's a good point. She could be talking to the assistant that she was talking to in the other episode.
Possible.
But for what? But who is that?
Yeah.
And why? And here's the other thing. What they have not been good at doing is keeping secrets from the closed captions. Y'all know I watch this joint with closed captions.
I know you do.
Because
whose voice?
They be dropping secrets. And a lot of times when they're talking on a phone, they'll tell you, like, so-and-so says to. Like, they'll put the person's name that they're speaking to in the captions. They didn't do that. They're hiding something.
Good job.
Now, here's the other thing. It came out a couple weeks ago. Look, you had to know Sharon Carter is technically a bad guy because she doesn't use an Apple product. All of her phones are
Android.
Yeah, she has an Android. And you laughing, saying that's a real thing.
I know. I'm laughing because it is a very real thing. It's just so.
Actually, it's funny. I just hate it. It's funny because when she came out on the phone, that was actually the first thing I said. I was like, "Wait a minute, all this that's what you're on." I'm like, actually, that was just the Apple fanboy in me, just seeing her use something because that looked like an old HTC.
Well, nah, here's the thing. So if you've seen, all right. So have y'all seen Knives Out?
Yeah.
We about to take a turn real quick.
Take a turn.
Y'all seen Knives Out? Okay.
Well, Captain America was in it, so.
Hey.
Ryan. Okay. So Ryan Johnson, who directed Knives Out, there is a YouTube video. It's Vanity, I think. Vanity Fair. anyway, they would do these things where they would have, like, because they did the same thing with the Russo brothers, where they had them like show a scene. They did the same thing with Ryan Coogler with Black Panther, and they break down like the making of a scene and like how they directed it and all that. And in the scene that he's explaining from Knives Out, he specifically says, if you're paying attention, you can tell who the person is that's the killer in Knives Out, because they're the only person that doesn't have an Apple phone, because Apple has a clause that when you use their products in a movie, they can't be seen in any bad light. So nobody who's a villain or anything like that is actually allowed to use an Apple phone.
Holy crap.
Well, people figured this out, like, I'm not even joking, like a couple of weeks ago. It sounds dumb, but it's a real thing.
Oh, crap.
It's a real thing. Like, I wasn't just like pulling that out of like, that's a real thing.
No, I remember that article. I hate it.
Now you got me like,
it's such a cheat code now. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. So, you know, us Android guys, we the bad guys. We the bad guys. I'm okay with it. What it is. I'm okay with it. I do like the Dirk be flirting with the dark side. He be trying to leave.
I have.
I'll just wait.
I'll be the double agent. There we go.
Yeah. So, I think there's just a lot that ends up kind of getting left, and I feel like there are some gaps in the story. I feel like they were beginning to go a specific direction with, Walker going to Battlestar's parents and lying directly to them and saying, he's the one that did it. I took care of it, giving them some closure. And what I assume is his sister and not his wife looking at him like, you lying. Like, I know you lying. You know what I mean? And it feels like they were going a direction with that, and that just kind of like they just left it. And it never comes back, but it definitely felt like that was supposed to be a thing or should have been a thing.
There's a scene somewhere where she runs up on him when he's leaving the house or something like that, not to confront him and not in front of the parents or something. Like,
probably he looked at that poster of himself and sees himself as a fake or really wants to be.
And that's the cut.
Right? But also, then in this, Carly like apologizes for killing him.
Right. That,
even though she ain't do it. So I feel like there's some things that ain't right about what this episode is. As a whole, though, not only a very solid episode, but I do feel like it is a solid cap to what we got in a series for what we did get.
I agree.
I would have gone to see this in the theater. If they had just made this a movie and it was only 2 hours, I would have gone to see this in the theater.
Oh, yeah.
Or we would have saw it regardless.
Here's my favorite part. Is right as they get ready to roll the credits, it says Captain America and the Winter
Soldier.
Oh, yeah. Yes, it does.
Yep. That was big.
Bruh.
That was big.
That was like, okay.
Stand.
Yes, you did, Tony.
But no. I mean, yeah, she did.
Yeah, she did.
But she said it out loud for like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I don't know why she seemed like maybe she was trying to apologize to him for real at that point. Like, I don't know. Again, her character kind of flip-flops. And I don't really like that. I don't like that her character is like, I mean, I guess in a moment where she was kind of playing Bucky when they were walking down when she was trying to get everybody out of the building.
Mm-hmm.
She was kind of talking to him and kind of playing him. You know,
Nah, you getting Yeah.
Yeah, he's having a struggle.
You're having a struggle. See, this is what happens when Gage starts spitting facts. Whenever he starts spitting facts, some of you don't know this. This is what occurs. this is what occurs.
Yeah. Yeah, they don't want him to.
So I'm going under the assumption the part that he's right about is the scrolls. I honestly think that is the part that's probably someone's looking at like, whoa, those seeds are planted. We can't have those watered out just yet on there for it.
I do like who mentioned Batman? It was their fault. That's what Robert Dean said.
Hey, Batman. At some point, Batman did get mentioned. Matter of fact, it was Marcus, I think, that said it. He was like, "He's Batman." It's Marcus' fault.
He called him up. He sabotaged us.
Sabotage.
Yeah, but I do like the scroll idea for Sharon. I think that makes the most sense. Thinking about it, even though I do like to see her go the bad angle and just see how it all just turns out and plays out. I'm all for that, but I do like the scroll angle even more though. That seems
I think that will play out pretty well, especially just like how they infiltrate everyone. Hey, he's back. Let's see. Telethon for more memory for Gage's laptop.
Oh, that's too funny.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think, but even before putting that Captain America and the Winter Soldier on the screen, him taking Isaiah to the memorial, like the museum where the Captain America stuff was, and showing that he had his statue put in there and the thing about
he has his own wing in the Captain America section. And I thought, that hit some type of way when Isaiah walked in there. You could see the emotion that he had on for it. It was like I did too. Like because to the world he's dead.
Yeah.
So to have this statue in the Captain America section, like it's attached to it, says values. Because I mean, just like we talked about before, he did the exact same thing that Cap did in the first Captain America movie, and he went rogue and went and saved his people. Mm-hmm. But obviously, he got thrown in jail.
I'm so glad to see that meme going around. Those on there. I love to see that meme go around too.
Because he literally did the exact same thing, but he got punished for it. But definitely seeing Isaiah kind of I don't want to say necessarily closure, because definitely that type of wound, like, it hurts deep. So I definitely think that was at least a good feeling to know that he was out there. And, he was doing the same thing. He was saving. Obviously, they were experimenting on. Yeah, he got unerased. I think that is probably he got unsnapped from way before when it even happened.
Said he straight up cried. I did too. I ain't gonna lie. The tears were flowing for me. That part. That was too powerful.
That was like, I'm just happy to see how they brought him back to life for it. But then afterwards, once everything settled, we kind of got to see everyone kind of just having fun. Bucky joining the family,
playing with the kids.
I mean, my man was invited to the cookout. He was. That was literally the prime example.
I think we can say Bucky's officially invited to the cookout from the
home. But I thought that was clean.
He was.
We gonna let's see.
Is he back yet? We'll see.
I see movement.
Oh, it looks like I see a strong connection, bar.
I see a strong connection. It dipped. Let's see though. Hey, welcome back.
Turn off all day Wi-Fi. Turn off everything.
Turn it off.
I'm messing up the show.
You can tell that you came in the house. Soaking up all my Wi-Fi.
Everybody walked in at the same time.
Yeah. Hey, listen. You know what? But the worst thing about this is that it's almost over. Because we gotta get on Twitch and play some games in a minute.
Yeah.
So here's what I want to know. Can they do a Captain America and the Falcon show?
Yeah.
I think they could.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think the show was definitely the test to see how the interest would peak with it, and then how we got at the end, or the recent announcement.
The most I think like you've ever sounded like you like a direct quote from your father, Sam.
But I think definitely with the success of how things went, I think they just greenlit the movie, and maybe they're kind of like, just slide season 2 necessarily to the burner, or maybe we're gonna change a little bit what season 2 actually is. Honestly, I don't think there's gonna be a season 2, as the name of the show, since they're gonna, especially if they rename it Captain America and the Winter Soldier. I think it'll just, this is kind of still like it's one off in the sense of saying as well too, but
it's possible. I mean,
I can see both. Just depending on how the movie goes, a season coming back possibly, considering just how well it's doing, how well it did. I can see it.
And you know what? This will be a great way just to fill in gaps when movies don't come out. So for whatever reason, like we have that one occasion where like only say like 2 MCU movies come out in a year. You have like a show like this that just kind of fills one or two of these shows that fill those voids. I am actually kind of okay with that.
I mean, I think the reality of it is, I think you're both right. I think that the shows are proving to be better than great supplements for what's happening in the movies. I think part of it is going to be a matter of whether or not how things go forward with movies and going to the theater and seeing things, and how that's had an effect on them really being able to put the money into doing this, right? With the production schedules and that kind of thing. They could do both. But I certainly believe that it's we're going to continue to see the seeds sown throughout. I like what Aaron said, like the Avengers Endgame with the Snyder Cut. There are people who are calling for that, like the Snyder Cut version of Falcon and Winter Soldier, like people who really want to see it. I don't think we'll ever get it again. I think because at least no time soon, because I just think it's too sensitive right now, because I'm positive that they've removed a lot of references to them having like a man-made disease or something that they are, and I think that's part of what the problem is.
That's the one other thing that kind of tipped off to what you're saying too, because when Sharon was in the garage and threw that like mercury whatever it was on my man, he got in the truck, like my man's face was melting, if I'm not mistaken.
Hold on, my man's face melted, bro. Like I don't know if you ever seen RoboCop. Well, that joint definitely gave me my man melting at the end of RoboCop and then getting hit by a car. Like definitely. Yeah. I think we're all kind of right as far as the shows and the movies, right? Like the amount of character development that you can get when you do a show, and it's even though it's only 6 episodes, which feels short. You know what I mean? Like we're used to getting like 13 episodes or more, something along those lines. But again, 6 episodes that are somewhere between 45 minutes and an hour is a lot more time than you would get if you did an hour and a half or a 2-hour movie.
And they're still keeping the same quality for that they use in the movies with it. So
correct, and they're able to do it. So I do think it's a smart way to add, because I do feel like to some extent in the earlier days of the MCU, they were using some of like the animated shows, not necessarily to fill in the gaps, but to kind of help maybe teach people about the characters, because they just were so unfamiliar, right? In the earlier days, and kind of trying to get people on the ball and kind of knowing who some of these side characters are. I think one of the best things they're doing right now is they're bringing in characters that nobody should really care about. And you know what I mean? And they're using them in ways to extents that like they have been important somewhere in the comic books at some point, but they're mostly forgotten. You know what I mean? In a lot of ways, they're not the large titular, I have my own book characters, and you know what I mean, in a lot of cases. If Sam had taken the super soldier serum, I think the reality of it is he'd be just like Steve was. Again, in that first Avenger, Erskine, who made the serum, the original serum, said that what the serum does is if you've got seeds of bad, like if you're bad, this is gonna make you worse.
Right.
But if you're good, it's gonna make you great.
It enhances who you are.
Yeah.
So I think Sam would have been straight if he ended up taking it. He'd be fine.
Yeah. But he wouldn't take it. And I think that's one of the important things about it.
Yep.
J. Robert Deans, I can agree. Maybe Arnim Zola is the power broker.
Could be. So
who knows? You know what I mean? Yeah, I mean, again, I think the show wrapped up really, really nicely. I am overall completely satisfied. Like I almost feel the need to binge it, and I might if I wasn't going to watch Mortal Kombat instead tonight.
Same
But,
here.
Oh, all right, took care of that.
I mean, thanks for not spoiling it. I appreciate you for that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, thanks for not.
Nope.
So that means you can go back and binge Falcon and Winter Soldier. Then.
I absolutely could.
Let's see. So hold on. Nah, I mean, I don't think we'll get. I mean, I think we're gonna get some bloopers and outtakes. Like, I definitely think that there's going to be a reel of just Anthony Mackie being who he is.
Oh, who he is. There's just no way around.
Yeah,
not having that just drop on Disney Plus. Like,
yeah.
that's gonna bring people back to what you want to do. You want to bring the people back to Disney Plus. That's the way to do it.
Everything's gonna swing again. Like Bad Batch will come out, and that'll swing everything back to being about Star Wars for a little while, and then we'll get Loki, and then we'll get Black Widow. We got Shang-Chi this year. Like, there's so much happening. We got What If this year. We got there's so much happening. It's almost like they back, baby. Like, I'm back, just like U.S. Agents said. Like, I'm back. Like, an hour, yes, an hour of cut the check. I mean, they gave us an hour of Zemo dancing.
Hey. They listen.
People want what the people want, bro.
Like, people want to see.
People want what the people want. I mean, clearly, look, when they cut to Zemo being in the raft, the fact that they were going to take all the rest of the Flag Smashers to the raft, the fact that there were people who were inside, who were working in the military, who locked them up, who gave them the, one world, one people shout out at the end. Like, we know that they're not gone, right? And there are still folks who are radicalized by
believing in
what it is. And even though Sam did a great job of delivering that message to the public without really intending to deliver that message to the public, but he was just being honest and speaking from his heart, which is, I think, the thing that Cap does so well. That's what makes Cap. It's that speech that he gives right before they go back in time, where Rocket looks like, yo, he's good.
I understand why you followed this dude.
And it's like you see that, like, like Sam has that. He is a guy that can rally his whole neighborhood to get something done. Like, if that dude decided he would, let's just do a fundraiser. You know what I mean? Like, everybody would show up. You know what I mean? Like, it's one of those things. And I think that again is super important. And for people again to see that he's not a super soldier, it differentiates him in a way that I think allows the people who he's supposed to represent feel like he does in fact represent them. So I really like the way they did that.
Versus Walker, Steve would wash him.
Oh, that wouldn't even be.
Steve would wash him.
That's not even. That's not even.
Yeah, I mean, no, but I mean, here's the thing: they've had some. It does make me wonder whether or not. Again, we talked about this on other episodes, but like in the comics, they ran through this whole thing where U.S. Agent just kept being sent. I'm down. Nah, I'm down, bro. Like it's not an issue with the laptop, it's an issue with the Wi-Fi, but like, but give me a new joint. Like, I'm down. Like, if Walker ends up going down the road that he did in the comic books, where he just starts to show up to try to make Cap look bad, that was like a whole thing. Like, him showing up to make him look bad, totally possible, right? Because the government's gonna need a reason to put their agents, whether they're the Dark Avengers, which is something they could be leading to, whether it's Iron Wars, which seems like something they're leading to with Sharon Carter, whether it's the Thunderbolts, which definitely feels like they're leading to that.
Thunderbolts I think that's the solid where it's heading to, because the whole raft thing, I'm sorry, I feel like the raft is just like, it just at points it just seems like, oh yeah, we're just gonna randomly throw the raft in here. Everyone's gonna go to the raft.
It's Arkham.
It's becoming Arkham.
Arkham. Yeah. I mean, you're right. I think we're definitely leaning towards the Thunderbolt, because I just don't see a reason for there to be a She-Hulk show otherwise. I just think that's what you're doing. You know what I mean? Like, I just think that's important. Otherwise, you don't need her, and somehow they gotta explain how she becomes She-Hulk.
Right.
Yep.
And I don't know how they're gonna do it without making it seem corny. But in Feige, we trust, right?
Yes, we do.
Facts.
All right, so listen, we need to wrap this up because in about 30 minutes we need to be streaming some gameplay on Twitch. So we will be doing that very shortly. I don't even know. We don't even know we playing Outriders.
That's
All
what
right,
it
cool.
sounds
We're playing
like.
Outriders. So
Outriders.
Expeditions.
I don't know, that's
Let's
probably
go.
what's happening. Listen, I greatly appreciate all of you tuning in.
Facts.
The love and feedback we've been getting about Spoiler Boys is it's energizing. It really is. I'm glad you all are enjoying it and liking it. For this to be a thing that we're doing, that usually you can only get the full hour episode if you're a patron of ours. If what you heard today is if you enjoyed it, drop that $1, man. $12 a year. You could be getting a little bit of this.
Oh, yeah.
So let's do this. Let's wrap like we normally do. Jokes, if you do your job and put the link tree up, I'd appreciate that.
Yeah,
For
buddy.
everybody who's in the chat, anybody who's new, or if you're not, again, if you hit the link tree, this will show you everywhere that we have social media accounts. Please, if you're following us in one place, go along and follow us in those other places. We greatly appreciate it. Also, as you'll see in the chat, there are people who are on Twitch, people who are on YouTube, people who are on Facebook. Look, a lot of us in these groups in the chat have our own Twitch streams. We are authors or artists, all of the above. So please go seek each other out, find each other, follow each other. We are really building a community. And so we
Doesn't
really
like me today. I don't know why.
You can't get the link tree to pop.
Hey, it's there, but every time I try to drop it in there, it doesn't do anything. It doesn't like me today.
Maybe Sin can do it. You know what I mean?
Sin, give it a shot. I don't know. It doesn't like me.
I don't
It
have
just
the
gave
link
me.
tree.
It's now giving me an error.
I don't have the
That's
link
what
tree.
Here's what I'll do.
Here, let me fix your life, Sin.
Okay, you got it. You got it.
Yeah.
Anyway, while you're doing that, Sin, while you're looking at that, if you do me a favor and just do your job, I'll appreciate it.
So let's go ahead and shout out our top tier patrons, starting with Anthony Cunningham, Marcus Houston, Susan Dortch, and Tyrone Carson. Thank you much. We truly, truly appreciate it.
Listen, I'm gonna try to copy this link that my man just sent me because he,
Yeah.
he out here just.
I don't know. It don't like me. Let's see if it works for you.
I mean, it did paste, but it pasted something else.
It doesn't. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, good.
Paste something else. It actually might be restreamed. That's the
Could
issue.
be.
It looks like we're getting asked for a shout out, so we'll do it one time. Spoiler boys!
Spoiler boys!
Y'all was silly, man. Give me a second. I got what you need. It's gonna look a little funny, but it should work. Let's see. Yoink! Did y'all see that pop up?
Yeah,
That's
that
the link
one
tree right
worked.
there. From there, you can join MCU chat on Facebook, which is where the shorter 15 to 20 minute version of Spoiler Boys goes on Mondays. Normally, y'all get ready because we will definitely be doing these for Loki. We got a little bit of a break and it's going down. I don't know if we're doing this for Bad Batch, but you guys can certainly tell us if that's a thing you want to see.
Yeah.
I'm not saying no. I'm just saying we hadn't made that decision yet.
Decision just yet, but y'all let us know.
Hey, Jokes, you using a Mac, right?
No, man, you know I haven't.
Your Mac?
I haven't used that Mac in ages now. You know,
Oh,
I
yeah,
got the
joint
game. I
dog.
got the
Yeah.
game.
Anyway, now, like,
I got the gaming laptop. No, the Mac is old. Like it just can't keep up with my new stuff. So I know you.
I have the half-eaten fruit thing. I have to pick on you.
I know you do.
So there's also our LS anime chat that is growing. It's getting. I think we just broke 100. Like we might have just broke 100 people there.
I
But
think so.
again,
I
we're
think
continuing
so.
to build that community. So again, if you know people who are into anime and all that kind of stuff, Loading Snacks LS anime chat. That's the place to be.
There's yeses coming through for Bad Batch.
Morning.
Bad Batch, huh? Might have to be a thing. I
I think we
mean,
need to throw a poll out later. I think after this minute.
hey, listen, Frosty can't answer for everybody,
Yeah, exactly.
but I'm down.
Tony, know that when they showed those colored IMAX again, that
You about getting that red mat?
I was definitely
Target
talking about
audience. Yeah. Okay.
We have a whole chat about Spider-Man's aunt. I mean, we could. I could. Both of them. I like
Which one?
Sally Field too.
I was the one from the MCU. Yes, sir.
I'm in there. I'm about that. All right. So again, we greatly appreciate everybody tuning in. We will be on Twitch in about 20 minutes.
Yep.
So we'll see y'all there. We're going to play some games. Again, thank y'all for tuning in. Greatly appreciate it. We will still take this and make this available for people to watch, and we'll push it, into MCU chat and all that jazz. With that, we're out for like 20 minutes. Toodles and loose.